Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. 16th FOMC day. Market is just, it's doing stuff. It's doing stuff. Let's look at yesterday. So yesterday, throughout pretty much most of our session, pretty persistent selling yesterday. Here we were yesterday. Sometime after we stopped streaming, and it's like they just wait for me to leave. But hey, I don't know. I got some okay trades, but especially in my treasuries. But then it was just like they bought this mother. It was up. And once again, we get the what I call the high R move, which is where it's just like a straight line up. So that's where we're moving. And of course, you can see the treasuries, flipped down lower. They were kind of saying, oh, well, maybe we don't want to go down lower. But now this morning, they are just going. And look, at the moment, you can see it going. You can see them just taking level after level here on the DOM. We got FOMC day, and they are selling this. Shoot. Look at that. This is probably where they flip around on us. We'll see. Anyways. Oil moving higher on the day as well. I'm not sure any particular reason for that. Gold taking a plunge this morning here. Copper looking bullish. Looking very bullish. And I'm sure that the dollar, yep. The dollar breaching 90. The dollar breaching 90, much lower. The dollar not looking so pretty. That sure enough, they don't necessarily just run right there. Well, we'll put that one right there. Yeah, okay. Now, we got retail sales coming up here in 10 minutes. We're looking for a month-over-month reading of a negative spot 3, which is not a good number. X Autos spot 1, though, so probably going to be paying more attention to that X Autos numbers they usually do, but Lobo Trader, good morning. How are you? Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Sorry, running through all that is just like the treasury's opening up right there and just going gangbusters down. They decided on the open that's what they wanted to do. I'm going to bet you here. Well, I'm going to try and work it out, but usually there's going to be a pullback, right? They're well beyond like the stop out zone, so I don't know. It's going to be tough. Well, they're going back and forth there at 22.5, quite a bit. Now I need to pull up here. Where did it go? Oh yeah, my strategy analyzer. Oh, that was okay. I got a new algorithm to test out here. New strategy. Should probably rename them tomorrow, but take replay. Oh, we need to actually pick the strategy. Okay. They gonna film me there? Please, sir, I want to feel. Good. There's all sorts of nonsense on this strategy that I added on and ended up not working. I'm gonna make sure that I turn off. Okay. Gee, hi all. That's a good new name. I always look at names, some of you guys' names, and I'm like, how do you get these names? But then I realized, like, YouTube doesn't really limit. You can pick whatever name you want. I had somebody the other day was trying to impersonate people, but I immediately knew. It was like they didn't even have a profile picture. Oh, yes, that's right. This one is not on minutes. This one is on seconds. At least I tested it on seconds. You only need to load 1 day worth of data too. Okay. Okay. Let's turn all DEMs on. Now, what was this spike? We got to get into that. Report 900 billion COVID package could come as early as this morning. That must be what it is. Well, over here in the E-menu, we still got a few minutes left, but look, they're busting. Okay, so now we want to buy that, right? Stop them out. See what they do. Susan Rice to chair domestic policy? What? Yeah, Glenn Greenwald has it right. The Biden transition uses that childhood game of musical chairs. Everyone keeps walking around in circles until the music stops and then tries to grab a chair. That's the administration job they get. Yeah, it's like all that. We got all these big names. We got to give them an important spot in the administration so that they can continue to be a big star in the Democrat Party. Well, especially like Susan Rice is a good example, but they don't put them in the area that they're like actually an expert. What? No, we already promised that job to somebody else. And that's probably how it goes. Less than 900 billion, eh? Well, is the market suggesting to us here that that's not enough? I don't know. It's kind of interesting that they're kind of trying to sell it. That may just be like shakeout behavior though, right? Ooh, yeah, Zero Hedge making a good observation, and I didn't even think about this. The 10 years at 0.94, and again, my calculation is 1% is somewhere around 16 down below us. That's only, you know, like 8 ticks away, so it could happen. It could happen. Okay, so I'm seeing the liquidity thin out here a little bit. A minute before the news, I'm going to try playing it because I'm trading a sim account today and I'm feeling lucky. I don't know how else to put it. I'm feeling lucky. Actually, you know what? This retail sales may not matter. I don't know. Well, let's just see what I remember. Retail sales X autos month over month. Estimated reading of spot 1 versus a previous reading of spot 2. Okay, so they did not like that. -1 spot 1 is the normal number. Oh, it's bad. X autos negative spot 9 versus an expected spot 1. So I just don't want to touch the E-mini here. U.S. Treasury says it is determined both Switzerland and Vietnam are currency manipulators. Switzerland have currency manipulator? Never. Okay, so the initial noise there. Actually, you know what? Sure. Okay. Does kind of look like maybe the 10 is following the 5 just a little bit. But it's definitely like a range, so. Oh, China is on the watch list. They're not a currency manipulator. Switzerland is, though. Well, I think they are right, aren't they? I mean, Switzerland isn't just a currency manipulator. They're like, they do it like publicly, don't they? I can recall many times where there were big moves in the Swedish currency because the central bank said, oh, we're going to hold this level or whatever it was. Well, this is a flurry of activity, exciting morning so far. The move that killed FXCM. Oh, is that what? Yes, is that what happened? Was there was a move in the Swiss franc and destroyed FXCM? I can think of a number of times that they've done stuff though. So it's just kind of funny that yeah, Zero Hedge saying here. The ECB, Turkey, and China do not manipulate their currency, but Vietnam does. Yeah. And Switzerland. Of course. Well, but this is the thing is you can totally label Switzerland a currency manipulator. They don't give a crap. They'd be like, yeah, what you can do about it? Okay, so our treasury's pulling back here. They're gonna pull back hard probably. I was so close there, 21.5. Look, 405 in the queue. You know what that means. If it comes back down to it, I'm adding there. Well, where is this person getting this? If vaccinated people can still carry and pass the virus, and it looks like they can, as I don't think that's true. There'd be no point to a virus if a vaccine if that was true, and I would be hearing a lot more about that. This is the first time I've heard that. Some rando on Twitter. Okay, so some volume there, 23.5. Still thinking about that retail sales number. It's like that's a bad number, right? But if Congress is going to do a deal today, does it matter? Things to ponder. Oh, look, it took along. Which one? Oh, thinks there's a breakout. Okay. So that's the first notice that I should probably give the entries and exits in each of these different strategies, different names, so that when I see it here on the chart, I know which one. Well, the algorithm got a better price than I did. Yeah. We'll see. So that's the breakout one. That's the one that's we need to give them names. What do you think? I think, because this is kind of a breakout trade, what would be a good name? We should give them like, proper names like Jim and False breakout took out 3,700 stop shorts. Probably already covered 3,689 if they scalped. Yeah. Oh, that moved down. Well, I don't know. There was the news before the thing. I bet you that probably a lot of that selling was them thinking, well, I caught the thing. I'm trying to take my profits here before the retail sales. But I still think that the biggest thing going on here is going to be the fiscal stimulus coming from Congress. So I do think that probably some of what you saw there was them just shaking people out. So the bar off of the so Vlad is saying because that shooting star, like if there's no continuation, but on the 1 minute chart there was a pretty strong looking hammer on at the bottom there after the retail sales too. So we shall see. Well, I was saying, I wanted to come up here and I want to kind of raise my cost basis, but I wasn't too sure at 23.5. I was a little surprised that it happened there. So FX Macro says Rolex prices are going up. What? I was watching the thing the other day because I was like, well, what's something that might be interesting to me that will be flashy enough that the baby will maybe be interested in looking at from time to time. So I went and pulled up the F1 documentary on Netflix, which is pretty good. And the thing that stood out to me the most while I was watching F1 racing was that the largest sponsor, from what I could tell, at least the one that had their logos around the track the most, was Rolex. So I guess F1 is the sport of the rich, I guess. I mean, it's definitely expensive to run a team. Okay, so don't necessarily like 5K at 22.5. That may, though, be somebody balancing out and not wanting to deal with the big order at 22. Swiss National Bank says foreign exchange market interventions are necessary in Switzerland's monetary policy to ensure appropriate monetary conditions and therefore price stability. That's called currency manipulation. Let me translate that for you. Our monetary policy requires currency manipulation. The SMB has huge profits every year. Do they now? Well, sure, okay. I have to say that is one of the examples of, I think, I haven't traded any of those moves personally, and I don't really watch the Swiss rank all that much, but I think that was one of the first times that I was really confident about the fact that capital markets aren't as efficient as we believe. We tend to say that changes are immediately reflected in the market price and so forth, and it's just not true. And I've seen that in the Swiss franc where they'll come out and say, we're going to peg it at this level or whatever the deal is. And I remember seeing pretty solid trades there for like 2 days. It was like, if you were in the know, I mean, you'd have to be listening on the Squawk or something and watching the Swiss franc and ready to click. But if you were in the know, you could make easy money on those because the government is literally telling you exactly what to do. You know? Is Bitcoin jumping up here? Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, okay, 20K. I think it's funny. Zero Hedge is so obviously long Bitcoin and trying to pump it. Like they've just been pushing it for weeks now. And they're trying to do it with uranium now too. Which I just hate. I mean, from their perspective, they're thinking, well, it's a really good opportunity and we want to let our viewers know about it, probably, right? But to me, it just kind of rubs me the wrong way. But that Bitcoin one, I still be careful. There's almost always some significant profit taking either Q4 or Q1 in Bitcoin. And it is exceptionally high. In fact, we've already seen some of the profit taking in like Ethereum, haven't we? But I suppose if people are trying to trade it as a hedge against inflation or something like that, then in the short term, it's, probably going to continue at least for a bit because it comes in, it does the move. Even if it's not really the right trade, everybody reads that as confirmation. And so it kind of becomes the reality for them, at least until you run into the wall when nobody else buys in, right? And they're really front running it. Like, for them to get much higher, a lot of money is going to have to come into Bitcoin. Back into the middle. Yeah, the ES has actually been pretty flat since the excitement. I'm not really, and the thing is I'm not really seeing. I don't know. I as of late I've been kind of looking for those signs of really, really passive action, and I'm just not seeing it over there. Okay, pretty good offer at 22 there. Doesn't look like anybody's ready to hit into us at 21.5 yet, but well, that might do it. if they slam it like that, come on, hit me. I don't know. You pull to 800 and you don't even get one order, they might have to flip up and then turn back down, and then they'll get them. Yeah, you say jerky morning, Mervs. I like when I look at the tape in the E-mini in particular, it looks to me like a bunch of day traders trying to trade off of that news and then shaking out or getting out of positions, and maybe some longs trying to hold it long, but unclear. I'm not really seeing the like, somebody doing something over there. Of course, when they do stuff, it can be very difficult to see, and especially if we're in slow action. If I was a big bank right now or a big hedge fund, and I was like, oh, I'm really bullish the E-mini going in here right now. Like, I know what Congress has got coming. Like, there's going to be stimulus checks in it or something like that. And I want to be long the E-mini. And how would you do it right now? Right? It's so slow. How you build up your position. Those are the sorts of things we got to think about. Okay, cool. And yes, I did. We were just talking about Bitcoin because everybody, all the news squawks and everything popped out there to say, oh, look, Bitcoin above 20K. Okay, good deal. Wait, it's not the topping 20K for the first time, is it? They've definitely been over 20K on the futures, but maybe they're using a different metric or a different exchange. No doubt the SMB is hammering the bid right now. Should we go look at them? Let's see here. Is it 6? No, it's not 6C. It's 6S. Ooh, yeah. So when that news report came out, they bid it up hardcore. So you're saying this that the Swiss National Bank is selling it hard, huh? Look at Bitcoin with a log chart? Why? I don't care. Does anyone use Kinetic through NT? I realize Interactive Brokers has horrible historical data abilities for stocks, asks Steve. So, first of all, remember that Kinetic is basically like rebranded CQG, right? I haven't used Kinetic in particular, but the advantage with Kinetic is that you can get all the indexes and all the extra special stuff like that, which might be useful for you. Yeah, you're not going to be going for them for stocks. I really have to say that it's unfortunate, but there just isn't a good. Well, you can, yeah, Vlad says Kinetic isn't for stocks. I believe that you can get stock data for it, but I just think it costs you extra. Oh, look, I got filled on that one. That one wasn't too bad of a fill. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that you can use it, but I just do not see a good option out there for both stocks and futures. And I don't day trade stocks. I have an account over at Fidelity, and I do kind of manage a few little positions over there, but nothing that requires too much energy, to be honest. And I think that you want to have a stock trading account and a futures trading account. Like think about it for a second. Why does it matter if you're doing them all in the same platform, right? Find the platform that's best for stocks and the broker that's best for stocks and use that, and find the platform that's best for futures and use that. Why not? And I think it's that kind of thinking that, they want everything in the same place that attracted a lot of people to Interactive Brokers. And you're not the first person, Steve, that I've heard wanting to get off of Interactive Brokers this month. I mean, most of it happened after they had that outage. Then a lot of people were like, well, I was kind of wanting to get out, and now I really want to get out, but I want to do back testing. I can't find good historical data. Well, you get historical data through CQG. I've always noticed that some of my things, especially like my ticker replay ones, will test a little bit differently, Rhythmic versus CQG. I have to say though that I very much prefer Rhythmic's data, You pay for it. There's like what is it, like a $15 monthly fee for Rhythmic, so it's not exactly cheap. I don't know. It's a 4,500 on the offer there. A lot of volume going through both prices. I have taken this at 22 to 21.5 a couple of times now, so I'm kind of wondering if I'm pushing my luck here. Okay, well. We should just open a Bitcoin stream. So let me tell you something. Like, here's the thing with Bitcoin, because we had a lot of success with the Bitcoin, and I bet you that if I just sat and like focused on Bitcoin, that we could probably do well for sure. Like, I could come in and I could just come in every day and say, Bitcoin is the best. Y'all need to buy it right now because it's, and that's where I kind of, I think you know where I'm going, right? Is it attracts the wrong audience. It attracts people that want to be told that they're so much smarter than everybody else because they're buying into Bitcoin now when it's early and they're all going to be rich. And I just don't see it that way. I see Bitcoin as an asset that is overvalued at the moment, that is being driven primarily by speculation and manipulation, that is a house of cards that if anything were to happen, any kind of significant drop could just collapse very, very easily. I don't think that the fundamental case that people are trading Bitcoin off really makes a whole lot of sense. Bitcoin is not going to be a hedge against inflationary central bank currencies, because the ability to control your currency through interest rates and printing money is the big advantage and the monetary innovation that made fiat currencies as successful as they are. And seeing Bitcoin, who was having a pretty solid run moving up into the pandemic, and then when the pandemic hit, they got hit so hard that is the true nature of Bitcoin. It's deflationary, and when you run into any kind of economic troubles, there's not going to be as much money around there, and it just falls apart. So even though it might be like an okay trade on a short-term basis, I have a lot of concerns about Bitcoin as any kind of a long-term trade. So yeah, at least buying it here. So, and not only that, but I don't want people that are, want to be told what they want to hear, sort of a thing, because that's not what makes us successful. That you're not going to become a successful trader if that's the way that you roll, To be a successful trader, I think that there's requires a significant amount of skepticism. It requires a significant amount of self-criticism to realize that so much of what we actually look at and believe might actually matter in the futures really doesn't matter, and that our ability to predict and the amount of knowledge that we actually have about the markets at any one given time is so small compared to what is actually out there and what other participants might actually know, Steve, Bitcoin scared me when it just dropped with the rest of the market. Yeah. Which is why I think it's so funny that it's getting pumped the way that it is right now, right? But, I think that we just got to realize that there has been, as far as I can tell, there has been some hedge funds coming in and buying it. And they're buying it through Tether. And Tether is probably giving them loans as they do it, just like in the past, right? So we know that Tether has done that in the past. Because the amount of money that you're actually seeing come into Bitcoin in the form of Tether just dwarfs everything else. And it's not going to the blockchain. They're not moving this stuff around in the blockchain. It's just going to the exchanges and then sitting there. Ted Cruz yells at Mission Impossible crew over breaking COVID-19 rules and leaked audio. That sounds like a PR stunt. Or not even a PR stunt, but just, like a positive PR story for, Tom Cruise. He just cares about everybody. He wants to make sure that you're all safe. That's all. That's why he gets, very passionate about making sure you wear your masks. Market cycle, greed, delusion, the new paradigm, then bull trap after denial. Yeah, I don't know. Like if I'm going to buy a Bitcoin, it's going to be like, a March trade when it's like down big and everybody hates it. And they're all like, oh, Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we've been in the thing that's so funny is that we've been in that state a couple of times and they actually have been holding a higher price than probably they should, even in its worst times. Another snowstorm on its way to Utah. That's cool, I guess. Actually, that's not cool. You know what? Oh, come on, film me. Yes. Okay, I have taken that, 4 times? Ooh, they hitting 21 now? Oh, yeah. Ooh, good stack. Pull. Okay. Ooh. 5K there. So I think that one contract I'm going to have to hit into this. And then, okay, well, they kind of balance out there. We'll see. Oh, okay, good move there. It was either hit into that or try and put it on the limit there. Let's see. Maybe they just slip through more. But that's the nice thing about having done it with a market making technique and having a couple of contracts on and everything. It can work out. There you go. See, tick back up. All right. When hope gets replaced by green, then goes to fear. Watch out what they do at greed. Yeah. Well, and here's the thing about Bitcoin. Here's something that if you're in Bitcoin, and I know that some of you are, you really have to think about this. Okay. Let's think stocks. Okay. How does Warren Buffett decide if he wants to buy a stock? Right? He has metrics. There's things that he looks at, the company's balance sheet, how much revenue they're bringing in, what the team that, the management team looks like. There's all of these different things that people look at to value stocks. And there are actually some very complicated and sophisticated models to determine what a company is worth. And, we know that those methods are effective. One of the, the biggest edges ever discovered was, the edge that JP Morgan found that he was, allowed him to identify undervalued companies, right? That edge has since been arbitraged out of the market, but it's still something that people look at because it at least gets you break even, right? Okay. How do you do that with Bitcoin? If you are a hedge fund and you're buying Bitcoin, how do you determine that an X% increase or decrease in interest rates correlates to an X% change in the value of Bitcoin? Are they actually trading it off of that? And if I were to venture to guess, I would say no, they don't. They just know that banks are going to there's still going to continue to be a lot of debt, and so they think Bitcoin ends up being, one hedge against that, because it's like this consensus thing, even though there's really no fundamental reason that it has to do that. You get what I mean? Now, I have a model that I do value Bitcoin based off of, and it's based off of the amount of money actually being used on the blockchain. And the amount of interest in it. So if we're like at all-time highs and there's not actually use and there's not actually money being transacted around the blockchain, then I ask, how sustainable is that move? That's all I'm really saying. So you got to consider that sort of a thing. Yeah, transactional expectancy. Just like, why is the dollar worth so much? Because it's used the most. It's the reserve currency that almost every country in the world uses it in some form, primarily because it's used to trade oil, right? Everybody's always saying, if they stop trading oil in dollars and they start doing it in Chinese yuan, then that could be really bad for the United States economy. It's true. The chances of that actually happening are maybe a little bit less likely to happen, but it's probably a little bit less likely to happen than some, doomers are always thinking. But yeah, it would matter. I guess Paul Tudor Jones is, well, listen, smart people can be wrong about things. And in fact, that are wrong all the time. I mean, that's just the crazy thing about markets, right? Is every once in a while we come into this thing where, like, for all of the smart people that are out there and the sophisticated methods that we have and everything, we'll just get it dead wrong. And besides, I guess there's a better response to what Gary Rich is saying. He says, I guess Paul Tudor Jones is not smart for owning Bitcoin. How do you know that he still owns it? Seriously, we just hit 20K. For all you know, he's sold. Paul Tudor Jones could sell that at any moment and you would not know. Right? Like, if your trade is that Paul Tudor Jones likes Bitcoin and buy it, then I hope that you owned it before he did, and that after he owned it, you're thinking about taking profits before he takes profits. Otherwise, he's going to sell and it's going to cause the price to go down and you're going to miss out on that amount, right? Following other people doesn't work. Like, the way that the markets are is like every order has a measurable, if small, if extremely small, if it's one order, but every order there has an impact on the price of the market. And if you sell it, it tends to make price go down. And if you buy it, it tends to make price go up. Paul Tudor Jones sold all of his Bitcoin, would probably have a negative impact on Bitcoin, right? And you don't know when he's going to do it. For all you know, and then that's the other thing, is like, what's he basing it off of? Does he have a model? At what point does his model say that he needs to sell it? Like, if it gets 20K here and then it turns back down and it goes to like, what would be its key level right now? Let's say it falls back down and Bitcoin goes below 1600. Is that going to hit his stop? He's going to get out then at that point? Like, how do you know? How do you know? Gagliardi, following other people doesn't work. Is that the whole concept of a trend? Yeah, but see, that's exactly the point. So if you were to, well, I do a lot of studies about this sort of stuff, okay? There is something to that autocorrelation in markets, all right? So like if you see a buy order, particularly on an intraday basis, the probability of seeing more buy orders is extremely high. When price is moving up, the probability of price continuing to move up is actually extremely high. Okay. But big but. That's on a quite a wide time frame. So like when these guys do these studies, and you can go and read the academic studies about it, it's like they'll say, okay, like here was a big buy here at the beginning of the day, and then there was more buying like much later in the day. But will you continue to see that buying like within the time frame that you care about? And like that's the thing, is that what you will tend to know happens. The market only has so much liquidity, and market events are highly clustered, which means that when we came in and we sold here in the treasuries, great example of what we were seeing here just today was they were pretty balanced around 22 for quite some time. Okay, we had a big move down, and then we were ranging around 22 for quite some time, and then we moved back up. Why did we move back up? Well, there's just not that much liquidity out there, and these guys that they want to sell it, that how are they going to sell it? So they need the price to move back up so that they have orders to sell into. And then after we did that, it ranged there a little bit more, and then we had this big move down, right? How did that happen? Well, that's the clustering nature of the volume, right? It pulled up and then it comes down. And why does it cluster like that? Because large players don't have enough liquidity to make their moves all at once. So they have to split it up. So if you see clustered volume come in, sometimes that's, a good trade for a continuation, but oftentimes it is not. And because of the competitive nature of markets and so on and so forth, I can go back and I could show you some back tests that show that when you get a spike of volume going in a certain direction and you try and take it right then and there, the chances of it coming back on you are actually quite high. Yeah, Gary says, I was saying I would think that there would be a crash before the end of the year, and if not, then within the 3 months. So I'm still going to give it to March. If it's still above 20K by March, then I don't know. I'm going to have to, it's still overvalued and I'm still not going to buy it. But we'd have to start thinking about what is the next opportunity to see this fall apart? What would be the next thing that you would have to see? Just as an example, like let's just try and game some things out here. What if the Federal Reserve comes out and says that, kind of disappoints the market, says that we think that everything is going pretty fine. We think, although we're totally willing to do whatever we need to support financial markets, nothing is required of us right now. We can see that interest rates are rising a little bit, and we're actually okay with that because the economy has recovered so much, right? What do you think that would do to Bitcoin, right? And all I'm saying is, like, this thing could fall apart awfully quickly. And there's the issue again. It's like it's a timing thing, So like before the end of the year, pretty good chance, but it's not 100% chance, fortunately. If only I could give you 100% chance of anything, right? Well, my trade over here in the E-mini not going so hot, is it? Yeah, I don't think it will get to 10K. Well, it did balance below 20K for quite some time. Like, I'm not surprised to see them pushing 20K again, right? When I looked at this place, it's like, okay, here's the spot where, like, if they fall through it, it could cause a little bit of chaos. But you can see there's no interest in selling it, and they hold it, and maybe even some people acquiring more contracts there. Right? Like, they were out very clearly trying to build a base for another push higher. You just got to be careful with that because, you know, there's a really high, when you're overvalued, you get that high risk of, like, blow off tops, right? But even if it doesn't do it before the end of the year, because it is only like 2 weeks, right? I'm still thinking within the next 3 months. And I really just do not believe it. There is literally no way I'm going to buy it. You think they'll test 3702? I think that they could, but I don't know. So the retail sales number was really bad. I think that fiscal stimulus ends up mattering more, but for the moment, like, look, this trade, it's not working. It looks to me like we all bought for the same reason, and, you know, they're giving up on it. It's awfully close to my stop. Yeah, there it goes. Uzi says, how are you trading that ZN? What do you mean? Do you mean, like, is it going well for you? Or are you saying, like, how are you doing that? Oh, okay. You're just kind of asking more my method. So I'm still watching my cost basis, but I'm primarily, so first of all, I have to come in and I have to make a decision about which direction I think that the market is going to move that day, right? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do market making. So I'm trying to take prices at, I'm trying to take limit orders at prices as much as I can, and then, just take contracts at it. But when I do that, there's a possibility of a move against me. And the whole system is that that's going to happen, and you have to account for that. But so that means I'm holding inventory, but I think that overall on the day they're going to move down. So that's the first thing, right? And then the next thing that I'm looking for is just watching the liquidity at every level and trying to decide what the informed traders are doing. So you're stacking contracts, yeah. So when I did it here, I took it at 22. So we had the move down first, right? So when we had the move down, I was like, okay, they're definitely selling it, and with the news and everything, it can continue down. But I took a couple of contracts and then worked a position out. Okay, that was okay. Then we had a move against me. I probably should have tried selling it up in here, but it didn't happen. But here at this spot, just what I'm seeing here, for instance, we had 4K and 4K on both sides. Now they're stacking a pretty big bid here, but they're still not getting a ton of people going into 22. I think I could probably try taking it at 22 again and taking 22 to 21, but I actually think I might be able to get slightly better. So I'm going to, and especially the timing doesn't really make much sense to me, right? So I'm going to wait for it to come up here. But then I want to watch the way that the liquidity is going, right? So for instance, I had contracts on, and then I saw pulling, and then there was a big price there. They still went through it, but then they ticked back up. So that was like, okay, cool. So that was some market sellers were definitely selling into it, and the market makers were pulling their bids on them. And they got to the point where they were willing to hold the liquidity again, and then it bounced back up. It's bounced back up much harder than I would have thought. So, oh, there you go. CME Group to watch Ether futures on February 8th. Oh my gosh. Well, that could do it to push them. I guess another thing on Bitcoin we should say is that the media, the positive media that they're getting today, they're getting a lot of positive media. Uzi says, I see, so you've basically mimicked the cost basis indicator with your position. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing, yeah. It's like, I know the general direction that it's going. I mean, I would prefer that my position be a lot higher than the cost basis, right? Like right now, the cost basis from the overnight is 24.5. How many contract? Well, let's look. Ugh. Ignore my awful e-mini trades. I've just not had a whole lot of luck with the e-mini lately. So I have done it. I've had 11 fills on it so far. So it's not very good, is it? So I'm taking less than a tick. Oh, no, wait. 11 fills means 5 positions. So I'm taking like 2 ticks. On average, I've taken 2 ticks. Yeah. It is interesting, though, isn't it, Uzi? Now, I don't know if the way that I'm trading it is like hyper effective. Hi, Ace. The issue that we've had with it is, you have to pick a direction, right? So what happens if there's a reversal, right? Like we had that happen to us. And I was like, well, I should have seen there was some informed trading there and I should have gotten out. Okay, so that right there is kind of interesting. So I don't know if that was informed trading. Actually, they're hitting back into it. But if I were to simplify it down the most, I'm looking for signs of informed trading and seeing how the market maker reacts to it. Okay, so I'm going to try that price right there. Yep. Traded that way before in Sim. Before you made the cost basis indicator, max inventory stack position, go for 1 tick on each contract. Right. Yeah, because the place that I'm at right now is like, there's definitely something to the cost basis indicator, right? I don't think I've found something that shows you potential like support and resistance levels, and in particular the place at which it turns from like this is bad, it's kind of down to like, oh, these guys are just puking and they're just getting out, and but I have been unable to find any kind of actually probabilistic setup with it. Like it's great for taking profits and stuff like that. and kind of being able to know. I haven't been able to program this all out per se, but you know, I can see in the E-mini, for instance, if we're really going to have a downside move, that 36.85 is kind of where the sellers really start to make money. And then when you get below that, we'd have to get to like, well, we'd have to go very, very low. So that will probably come back up. So let's say I'm going to guess where it will be when it gets there. 36.75 is when you really start to see like the market makers stop out and stuff like that. Anyways, but are they going to turn up or down from here based on where we're at on the cost basis indicator? I haven't been able to do that. In fact, the good back tested setups that I've found with it, kind of seem to rely on it being 50-50 and it just being stuck there, you know? Like the one that works the best is just trading between the buyer and seller cost basis. So once I realized that, I went back to thinking about a lot of the things that I've heard Gary Norden say, and then I'm looking at from reading my book, which is that it's like you can pick a direction for the day, but at any one given moment, it's almost impossible to predict what's going to happen. Yeah, if you have the capital, stacking the ladder and averaging up or down for one tick as a contract is extremely effective way to trade. Only weaknesses said moves. Yeah. And doing it tick by tick too is something. I don't know. They're moving it up here though. I'm not sure if that. So this is kind of the key point, right? We were talking about earlier. So first of all, I took one at 23, right? So was that the best price to do it at? We'll see. Or do I need to flip around at some point or just get out of it? We'll see. Trading that way eliminates the need for a specific price, which is basically the day trader's ultimate weakness. Yes, but so the thing is that if you're not able to like build up a little bit of a position and profits first, then it goes really badly, right? So that seems to be the thing that I've been trying to work out. And I'm not sure if it's so much that I need like specific rules and everything so much as it is just experience about knowing where it's okay to add risk and when it's not. Because the whole game here, I think, is that you're holding liquidity out there and you don't know what's going to happen. And the person trading against you thinks that they do. And so you've got to determine the situations in which when they're trading against you, they don't really know, I guess, is the way that I would put it. And so at the moment, at least, one of the biggest ways that I determine that is by watching the other market makers. So if the other market makers see something that says, well, I don't want to hold liquidity at that level, then that's like a big red flag to me. I should just read these.
Uzi Knesset says, well, you think to yourself, imagine if you could handle 100 contracts. You can average whichever direction for, say, 50 ticks for example. Uzi Knesset says you play your average within a simple indicator like the ATR. Ace Trades says too close to open, but looking for a short in here.
Well, I'm actually wondering if one of my setups is going to try and take a short, but it hasn't tried to. Now, I don't know. I'm wondering, do I have this set up so that like, I'm just going to come in. No, I'm going to just come in and make a new strategy. I think that they both strategies can take a position at the same time, but I don't remember.
Uzi Knesset says ATR for day is 21 ticks for argument's sake, and you can trade up to 100 contracts. You look to manage your cost basis within those 21 ticks, taking single tick profits. Uzi Knesset says throughout the day bringing your break-even point higher or lower, depending on what side you're on.
Yes. Well, I think there's a critical component of this, which is the spread that you choose to use, right? So when we talk about spread, for us in futures, it's always one, right? The spread is these are all large tick instruments, and the spread ends up being as big as possible, or sorry, as small as possible based on how the instrument works. But there's also your spread, which means how far apart are you willing to put a buy or a sell? And the further that it is moving around, the further apart you're going to have to put those in order to make money. And apparently a lot of the edge in market making algorithms is algorithmically deciding that. Makes sense. Yeah, Uzi says, yeah, you're factoring slippage, commissions, and fees. I mean, not normal ones, wide slippage. Yeah. So I don't really know how to determine it, to be honest with you. I'm guessing. Right now, I'm guessing. I'm reading some stuff that I think kind of gives me an idea, but I'm kind of guessing right now. And the way that I'm guessing is I'm watching where the liquidity actually ends up trading, and based off of that, trying to estimate what the algorithms must be using for their spread right now.
Uzi Knesset says, yeah, commissions are where it would suck for retail guys. We don't get the volume discounts that market makers do. Uzi Knesset says, but the method itself, from a market maker's perspective, makes total sense.
And for me, I don't particularly care about that. I really should, right? For my algorithms that I've got trading over here. Oh, did it finally take the stop loss? Okay, yeah, I'm done. These are the ones that I'm like, okay, I think that these have some real setups here. Let's see how they go, and I'm gonna let them trade it. And these are supposedly informed trades. I do believe that what I've got here is overfit to the action that we've had in the pandemic. But I think I understand why the market is behaving that way and why these trades work, and what I would need to do to adjust them when the market changes. But for me, when I'm over here and I'm thinking about this market making, I mean, I'm doing it on sim right now, but even if I was doing it live, I think that as long as I was above break even, I would be happy. I'm always going to be trying to do the best that I can, and that's what I care about, is trading the best that I can. But if you're trading the best that you can and the best that you can is losing all the time, then you can't keep trading, right? So for me, the minimum is you're at least paying for your fees. And if I'm at least paying for my fees, then, and I can keep trading and doing what I like, then I'm happy. And then whatever else we can get on top of that is just extra, How can you factor market maker liquidity when you don't get data straight from the exchange? Well, I have to see it actually trade, sure. But I really do not believe that the data that I get is all that different from what is on the exchange. I keep seeing people talk about this sort of stuff, like the data that you get is not truly unfiltered and things like. I really don't think it matters. I can see that at this price they traded 4,000 contracts, and at this price they only traded 400 contracts. You know? Now that Eric Peters has emerged as a Bitcoin whale, here are his thoughts. Oh, so he's been in it for a long time, I guess. Okay, Ace is going short. The trend is definitely on the short side here. I'm a little bit concerned about if they can actually maintain that. Given this situation and everything. So let's just remember that the reason that they're selling is because the retail sales number was really bad. But they were buying overnight and yesterday because they think that there's going to be a fiscal stimulus still. And we have the Federal Reserve today. So those are the kind of the reasons that they're doing things. Also, we're going to get PMIs here in like 10 minutes. So I don't think that the real trades have come in yet. So I suppose that means that we could continue to try shorts until the PMI number comes out. But I think that I would be better, especially since I already took one that didn't work. Actually, it was two that didn't work out, wasn't it? My rate on the E-mini lately from my discretionary trades has just not been very good. I think it may be because I understand really, really well when they tend to do things in the 10-year, and I'm not sure I understand it in the E-mini. You know, I was reading through there yesterday. Yesterday there was this thread on the futures trading subreddit because Futures Trader 71 answered a question. He has a Reddit account and he actually makes quite a good amount of comments and stuff. And anyways, somebody made a comment that was basically like, you know, try edge clear. So they commented on it and somebody asked a question. A follow-up question, and then Futures Trader 71 answered the follow-up question. So because of that, somebody said thinks that the original account was also Futures Trader 71, that he was using an alt and forgot to sign out. So I went back and looked at that guy's account history and everything, and it's plausible, but Futures Trader 71 says that that's not what happened. So I'm going to take his word for it. Anyways, so I was looking at that. So I was reading back through the things that he had said on, in his past comments. Okay, so there's a pretty good downside move there. Treasuries are bidding up a little bit over it. Morad is his name. Yeah, well, the account was like Chicago guy number 12 or something like that. You're just simming, but bring your average sales price up. Yeah, no, you're right. The question is, when is it really appropriate to add in? When is it not? And so what I've been doing is, I want to keep myself to 4 or 5. So right now I have 2 on. And the issue I'm looking at right now is, okay, so I could take another at 23 and 23 half. But what if we come to 25? Then do I really want to go to 25? But then I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, we're kind of close enough to my break even. I don't think that adding more risk is the appropriate thing at the moment. The places that they're holding the liquidity aren't well defined enough for me to feel really confident adding risk. I'd do it every 2 to 4 ticks and ZN cap risk at your max inventory. Not so I'm going to limit myself to 4, as I think that's realistic, right? Like if I had a $10,000 account and then I could do 4, right? Or I could do it like a combine account or something like that. Well, I am seeing indications that the trend is possibly fading, but look, okay, so the treasuries just took two prices right there. So that's exactly where I'm like, okay. Five minutes to the numbers. Nancy Pelosi saying that House members will not be recognized unless they are wearing a mask. Yeah, obviously, the higher your max inventory, the more room you have to work. Yeah, totally. I think while that is true, Uzi, I think I'm more concerned about, is it really a sell day, right? So let's just make the note there that we moved up a good 3 ticks there. While they did start holding some liquidity at 24.5 and 25. There was some degree of informed trading there pushed it up, and the market makers kind of like just got out of the way. So especially since we're at my break-even point, I'm thinking, okay, is it really still a sell day? Is there something else going on? Does somebody think that the Federal Reserve is going to come out and say something that is very bullish for treasuries? Are they just reacting to the E-mini over there? Are they just reacting to currencies moves? Well, I'm not seeing it. Well, the dollar has gotten weaker here, though. So I'm not sure about that one. The dollar has gotten weaker here, largely off of the euro. Right, so now it's like, maybe I should have puked, right? Yeah, why would the market makers on the sell side get out of the way, right? They don't want to average in here when I can get higher, so they pull back and stack upwards, right? Yeah. And then you get those points. Oh my gosh. So that's really bad, right? You'll get these points where you'll see like a bunch of like a big iceberg there at the top, and I think that is often the market maker trying to decrease his risk ahead of the possible push of highs. Okay, so that is something else. Pick off single contracts on the bid on the way up and average offers higher. Yeah. See, the thing is I think it's too late to try and go long. But do you see what I mean? Like what happened to me? Because it came up there and I said, okay, this spot, it looks like it's a good spot. And then what did they do? They, I ended up being at my max risk right when they're really pushing, instead of, I want to get to my max risk at the spot where they end up turning, You don't need to go long. Eventually you will get a congestion spot where you can flip your inventory. Okay. Well, we'll try playing it that way. But let's just say then that I took on too much inventory too early still. Now, maybe because of this PMI number, let's see what happens here. So once again, I'm long in the E-mini going into numbers here. It may not turn out well for me. Okay, so the number is higher than forecast. 56 spot and 66 versus 55 spot 7 for the manufacturing number. Now, all of them are better. And I kind of expected those numbers to be better because all of the ones that were released earlier from like Europe and Asia and stuff were good as well. If I had the money to manage 50 to 100 contracts in ZB, it'd be so much more fun. And have a great weekend and a great holidays. Thanks, Gary, for stopping by. Okay. Oh, now they're saying that they don't manipulate the Swiss franc. Okay, if you say so. Okay, so the E-mini is turning back up. Now we'll see if the Treasury flips back down. I think that if we do come back down, that I'm going to try and take it more like there. Oh, they're willing to talk to the Treasury about it, though. Okay. Well, is that moving them right now? They've kind of gone back and forth in the Swiss franc, actually. Okay. So they were doing okay, but then somebody bought 25 again. Well, let me come back to the volume profile here. So they're retesting an area that could provide some support in, yes. So I think I'm happy to hold it here. They might push me one more time and then actually reverse, but we'll see. The E-mini is not. They kind of came back a little bit, but that they're still hanging out up there. Right? So like, is it reasonable for me to expect them to come all the way back down? Well, I don't know. That was a pretty strong sell right there. The zero hedge these comments. Okay, so the latest zero hedge tweet here is: the Swiss government says Switzerland does not engage in any manipulation of the Swiss franc, and when it does, it simply buys Apple stock, so everyone wins. I gotta give that one a like. That's hilarious. Now, so they're willing to trade it both ways at 25 half. I don't know. Maybe though they're doing what you were saying, Uzi. Maybe that's some guys trying to, build a position up here now, selling it there and buying it there. Or buying it on the limit here to just reduce their position. Okay. I'm just thinking here, a feature that Jigsaw should add is changing this profit and loss thing over here to factor in unfilled orders. So like it should say, well, if it goes through here, he's going to add some contracts or take some contracts off. So it wouldn't actually be 421 down here, right? It'd be much less because of the profit taking. Oh, there's some kids there. Hold on. Close the door, please. Don't leave the door open. Okay. Well, there is a little bit of congestion at 25.5. I mean, it doesn't really show so strongly on the volume profile yet, but it traded a good number of contracts there. But then it continues to kind of float back up to the high and threaten it there, so I'm not quite sure what the deal is. And you can see that the seller not really willing is like, okay, fine. Else they added a little bit because it ticked down, but yeah, he's pulling that one too. I don't know, man. We just saw like a full-on reversal. So I was even thinking about it this time, and I ended up hanging on. I got it yesterday, but today, no. Okay, so let's try doing this. So get some more news at the top of the hour here. Business inventories and housing market index. Not as significant numbers. E-mini does look like it's maybe going to flip here, so we'll see. Well, that's not good. Now we're getting some more currency moves here. Dollar kind of reverting back a little bit. I guess the move in the dollar is not extreme, but okay. So Forex Live tweeting details of the emerging U.S. stimulus deal appear, including a stimulus check near $600. Okay. Okay, so the E-mini is digging out here now. About to break through the ATR stop. So definitely some signs of trend reversal here. Okay, 10 seconds. Okay. Housing market index 86 versus 88, and the business inventory is in line at spot 7 versus spot 7. So now that we got that through with, I think that there's not much that could hold us back from a little bubble up action here off of the stimulus still. So let's see. I don't know. I really think that we're going to get another one of those crazy bubble up moves, but they're going to take their time and convince me that I'm wrong 20 times before they'll do it. Okay, they're recovering that quite nicely. I don't feel like I have enough space here, man. Move that over here, I guess. Okay. I guess they're happy to just range around in here. Kansas mayor quits after being threatened over a mask order. Oh boy. Okay. E.L. Wasson, Jake Sherman's tweeting this. E.L. Wasson is a winner this morning. He asked McConnell if he is optimistic about a deal, and McConnell said, I am. He didn't answer questions about how close they are, whether they'll get a deal today. The Onion says CDC announces children will be last to receive COVID vaccine because they are those little twerps going to do about it. Because what are those little twerps going to do about it? Obviously a parody there. Okay, so and why is that reset in there, I guess? McConnell sounds upbeat. We've made every major headway for hammering out a targeted relief package that can pass both chambers by bipartisan majorities. We agreed we will not leave town until we've made a law, says Burgess Everett, retweeted by Live Squawk there. Actually, my squawk has been doing pretty good. They've been getting them before I see them on Twitter and read them to you, so. Good job, Financial Juice. Uh, 10 years ago tonight, Congress extended the Bush tax cuts. That was 10 years ago. I remember that. That was 25, man. I'm old. Am I old now? I'm not old. 35 is a fine age. It's a fine age, I tell you. Yeah, that E-mini's still going. So now here's the next thing that's going to be interesting is that the E-mini, they traded down there, and on a 1 minute chart, they left so many pivots behind. And I've been doing some studies on this, and I have found that when you cross pivots like that, there is a tendency to, the more that you cross, the better the chances are that they continue through. I haven't tested it on a 1 minute chart. But since we've got this area with so much congestion, let's see what it does. Does it end up being significant resistance, or do they blow through this? I think that if we get back to the open and then we start punching new highs, that this could really just blow open. So they hit them pretty good at 24.5, but there's an iceberg there. It's kind of at the edge of the volume profile, so I'm wondering if that's related. Oh, it looks like there was a stop run in the... Oh, no, it's just because it hasn't been reset yet. That's why. It's like, do I see this volume on my ES one and not this one? So because that was the stuff that happened on the open before I took this trade. Obama says the Republican Party is the minority party in this country. Are you meaning it's the party for minorities? Because it kind of is starting to feel like that's turning into the case. Okay, they're taking 25. What's this? New Squawk retweets Jason Zwig saying interesting tidbits in the Massachusetts administrative complaint against Robinhood. Of the more than 71,744 Massachusetts residents that Robinhood identified as being approved for option trading during the relevant time period, at least 14,439 customers had no investment experience, and 34,374 customers had limited investment experience. These customers represent 68% of all Massachusetts residents approved for options trading. Oh my gosh. For real? Can you believe that? I am retweeting that one. Well, and I like Zero Hedges' comment on it too, so I'm going to retweet Zero Hedges' retweet of it. He says 14,439 gamma chasing Robinhood customers with no options trading experience versus 1 billionaire hedge fund with lots of trading experience. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. Well, that was just saying how many of them were approved for options trading. How many of them actually ended up taking a position in options during the relevant time period? I bet you it's in that report, but it's not in that segment that we just read. So I'm kind of wondering here, they're going to include stimulus checks. $600 stimulus checks. Because when this happened before, we got a deluge of people buying equities from it. And will this happen again or what? It includes it extends the renting, like a moratorium on kicking out renters, right? It's not expected to include corporate liability. Ooh. I don't think the market likes that. I think I should leave that at 26.5 just because I got such a good spot in the queue, but I don't know, guys. So they just barely like stopped out all of the shorts from the regular session and then pulled back. So I don't know if they're going to do it in the E-mini or not. No liability protection nor state and local aid. Congressional members must be panicked to show up in their home districts without a Chinese Christmas present for voters. No, I would hope that they're thinking about it harder than that, because this year I don't know if you'll be able to get the support for another aid deal. You know. Senate hearings on fraud. That's funny. And MSNBC and CNBC aren't showing it. Well, to be honest with you, I'm kind of done with that whole thing. Like, I'm just a little frustrated that the right is so incredibly obsessed on that point to the detriment of everything else. There's still people out there that think that that Donald Trump is going to stay in office, and it's not happening, man. and people are making dumb decisions because of it, from what I can tell. So why would all of that make the treasuries move up? Unless maybe unless it's not about the coronavirus bill in the treasury right now, and it's more about the Federal Reserve. Like, what could be, like, the Federal Reserve could say something about yield curve control, or the 30-year, or the amount of 30 years that they're buying, or changing the duration of their purchases. I don't know. Well, I need to take a break here, so I will be back in a little bit. All right, guys? Can you believe this? I walk away for 5 seconds. Look who comes into the room. He didn't want to go. He was like, oh man, they're still buying it there. I don't know, man. They know something I don't you think? They definitely know something I don't, guys. McConnell adds, on his way off the floor, well, we're making good progress. Says Jake Sherman. Jake Sherman really is the best guy to watch on Twitter for this stuff. It's kind of interesting to see how he's become a big guy. Man, they gonna really like full on reverse this? Oh no, there's still like quite a bit of, we're still quite a bit lower from where we were yesterday, but with the way that they pushed when they were down at the lows, I'm just really shocked, to be honest. Well, I tell you what, when I came in here this morning, I was so certain that the treasuries were just going to sell, and I was saying like, I think that they might go for that 1%, and now they've come back up like pretty hard, right? Pretty hard against us, and I've been trying to like average it out and everything, but the reality is that I should have flipped at 22.5. Bob Iger is at the top of President-elect Joe Biden's wish list for a key ambassador post, namely China or the UK. Well, like, what the hell? I'm getting really frustrated with some of the appointments that I'm seeing out of the Biden administration now, because it looks like it's just grifting, giving people gifts. Looks choppy. Yeah, did you just get your two? So at the moment, we have basically, we're at the point now where if this really is a buy, that here is kind of the timing spot area where we would do it in the E-mini. It will probably continue to be choppy, but it does look like they're kind of building a base there above, just below the open. And, you know, like the correlation and everything is extremely low, which means that it really, you're right, Ace. It really is just completely chopping around. But I wouldn't necessarily take a trade at the moment, but I think that if you wait another 5-10 minutes, you might see something that you really like. So, and even on that one, you don't necessarily have to take it. You can just kind of watch it. Leader McConnell says the American people need more help. We need vaccine distribution money. We need to re-up the Paycheck Protection Program to save jobs. We need to continue to provide for laid-off Americans. Congressional leaders on both sides are going to keep working until we get it done. Well, I don't know, man. News in 5. No, just the distillate stocks, right? Is there something else important that I'm missing? ECB guidance speech. Not sure what you're referring to. So we are now well past. When did this flip here? It was when the E-mini did start coming down here. So I suppose if the E-mini goes and breaks the overnight high, that the Treasury should come all the way back. But we'll see, huh? Pierre says, well done. What, on the E-mini trade? Yeah. Well, I'm disappointed, though, that my robot didn't take a trade. It may do it here, actually. Just see. They probably need to get above the open, a little bit more above the open for this to really, for it to do its thing. Well, what a stupid robot. We'll see what he does. The thing with this robot is I've designed him. What should we call him? I really wish I had a better name for him. Robot. Okay, we'll call him Robert. I just want to call him like a normal name. We'll call him Robert. The thing with Robert is he's looking for a very specific type of move that has happened a lot this year and is really indicative of these liquidity driven markets, right? So when you get these moves that are like these straight lines that just go and go and go and go and go, and you're like, how did I miss that? It's just like it never turned. It's looking specifically for that. And so for it to take the trade, it's waiting for a certain amount of that to come in. So it's now kind of crossing the threshold just now in the E-mini where the robot may consider taking a trade. Okay, so now let's see what they do when they decide, when they come to all of these pivots. Just below it now. It is not the Ace robot. Although I do believe that this robot has some concepts in it that we could apply to your strategy. It's in C#. So this is a NinjaTrader robot. It's running in NinjaTrader is where I backtested it and stuff. So that's interesting how they traded through 27.5 and they're starting to hit into 28, even though, well, that must be because of the oil number. That maybe they're reacting to oil. I've never seen the treasuries react to oil per se, but CL definitely spiked up there hardcore. Okay, so they're through most of it. It's a little bit further. It'll be 95 basically once they're in the clear. So see if there's some stops up there. You can see some profit taking up here for sure, don't we? Okay, Schumer's speaking on the Senate floor now, and it sounds pretty hopeful as well. Robinhood is accused of gamification of trading by a Massachusetts regulator. Like, yeah, of course, that's exactly what they do. How is that even like an accusation? Isn't that like the main feature? WineTube says C++ is quicker, doesn't matter. Oh no, the robot's not going to take it short. It's going to go long. But it's well past the area where I should see it be taking long, so I don't know. Unless I no, I closed that. Let me come here and look. Because I really feel like it should be taking one. Oh. Okay. 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 So they may still do it. We'll see. We'll see. Jesus. The Treasury is just not. I don't know. Really, should I still be like flipping? I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna stick to it, and what happens happens. And we're still kind of like learning and testing things out in the Treasury, but you really gotta wonder here, man. Like, why are they so insistent on pushing it up there? And where is the volume coming from? Okay, well. I don't know. Okay, so the E-mini did not get above that last set of pivots, though. Not yet. Was it turning a little bit? So the thing is that the robot needs to, well, I don't know. I really don't want to go into it enough, but I feel like maybe Robert would take his trade, but it doesn't look like he's going to do it. I'm surprised. Maybe part of what's happening here is that the dollar did kind of bounce off of the 90 level on the dollar index. That could be affecting the currencies and then in turn the treasuries. All right, fine. I'll reset everything. Ugh. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Cat turd here. We need a Republican Senate leader who doesn't stab 95% of Republican Trump voters in the back. Dude, you lost. I'm sorry, man, but this is not going to change. And you don't want to continue to hold on to this fantasy to the detriment of everything else that's going on. That is just going to really turn voters off. And then what? You lose the Georgia runoff election, and then you're in a real problem, right? McConnell is doing the smart tactical thing, and he's trying to be nice about it, to say, hey guys, like, we need to do this or we're screwed. And y'all treating him like he's trying to stab you in the back because of it. It's like, no, he just understands the reality. Now Johnson is out speaking. It has been a really busy news day today, hasn't it? The Hill says, stung by Trump, Fed chief gets fresh start with Biden, except for that, like, the first opportunity, he's going to get rid of him and replace him with somebody else. You know he is. You know, when every president comes in and immediately replaces the Federal Reserve chairman at each opportunity that they get, it really starts to make you question that how independent the Federal Reserve truly is, don't you think? Just saying. CNN, why the U.S. government hack is literally keeping security experts awake at night. Well, you know, it's got to be keeping up at night is solar winds. Everybody that works on that, man, is... Okay, well, maybe some signs of the offers in the 10-year treasury starting to hold a little bit more firmly, but I'm not really getting market sellers come in here. There's definitely some price resistance up here in the E-mini, but this is kind of where I find a lot of the support and resistance concepts a little questionable. Like, could just like bust through here on a volume spike, and how are you going to predict that? Okay, so there's a little hit at 27.5. And note the volume being stacked at 28 now. Well, I think I need to cancel this and take it when we see it. What? Sources claim sympathetic Trump is considering pardon for Silk Road founder. I don't see why he would. I kind of almost wonder if that's just the attempt to get it out in the media so that Donald Trump will start talking about it and thinking about it. But I don't. I'd be so surprised if they're thinking about prosecuting the Silk Road pardoning the Silk Road founder. Why would you do that? Pierre says lucky to leave another day, so you made some money there. Well, what do you think? Do you think the E-mini will go and visit the highs here? I think that it may eventually do it, but that it'll probably be long after we're gone. Because the liquidity injection always comes after we leave, right? It's like the Europe has to be done first, and then it's like nothing but buy. Less than I last. Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know, man. Just going from my own trading, I find it so interesting how it'll go from like you can't lose to you can't win so quickly and easily, right? And I don't feel like I'm doing anything different, but then so it's the market changed or you're off, or sometimes it's really hard to know. Overall, though, I find this market difficult to trade for some reason. I really should just have the Texas speech turned on here. And I've been reading your messages out because whenever I put it on, you guys go crazy with it. But I think we've been okay today. Tony Connolly, update on where we are in the Brexit negotiations. While both sides have a way to go on the level playing field state aid, there is a landing zone in sight on fisheries. Both sides say that is very difficult. So it's still like just so mind-boggling to me that the major concern in whether or not we have a Brexit deal or not, and whether or not like the whole UK economy is like goes in the dumps or not, or the whole Eurozone economy, frankly, is over fishing. and he's got like 6 tweets. I'm not going to read all of them. It sounds overall good, though. Wow. Twitter shares climbed to their highest price in more than 6 years. Is Twitter really worth more than it was 6 months ago? Yeah, I saw a thing the other day that kind of is making me think as soon as Donald Trump is out of office that they'll ban him from Twitter. You think that that'll happen? It's insane. Release of relief text likely today if an agreement is reached, says a congressional aide. Well, the treasuries did take a little bit of selling at 27.5, but overall remain bid as the large order at 28 there. So 5,600 just still sitting there. E-mini equity is coming back off a little bit by maybe 2 points, 3 points, nothing too huge. May just be a pullback, but kind of would have liked to have seen them pushed down through quite a bit further. There's definitely like a pivot there that they're trying to hold that ended up being a double top. So double top like that, we want to pay attention to. It's still like a 50. It's still like a 45% chance that we push up, but they're not very common, though. It does feel awfully quiet now, though, doesn't it? Well, I do see the things kind of cooling off, so I think that this might be like another zone where they acquire. Okay, so they stacked some at 28 for us now. That's good. Wow, they bought that whole thing? What? Well, usually, well, let's see what happens. So that's an interesting case in that, you know, he stuck it out there.
Vlad
They hit
Stolyarov
him.
says I don't know why. Vlad Stolyarov says I am still confident in my stupid AVG short.
In the E-mini or in the treasury? Well, there's the E-mini.
Vlad Stolyarov says in S.
Yeah, okay. Is coming back to the open and testing ATR stop.
Vlad Stolyarov says I don't trade Treasury U.
Oh, I got you. All right. 10-year bid up there. They weren't able to hold it again. Hmm. I don't know. I'm not sure what to make of that. It appears bullish for treasuries, but I'm not sure if what I just saw there actually matters. Feeling that sleepiness coming on again. Okay, and then hitting at 28.5.
Block buy.
Okay, so block buy there at 29. And it just doesn't end. I mean, the E-mini is a little bit down there, but they must really think I at this point, given we've been hearing a lot of headlines and stuff, but I don't think anything that would really measurably move things. And everything that I'm hearing is generally good and bad for treasuries. Like, it sounds like the Brexit deal is going to get done. It sounds like there's going to be more fiscal stimulus. It sounds like there's going to be checks in it. So why would they be willing to buy so many contracts in the 10-year treasury? And so at this point, the only alternative explanation is that they expect the Federal Reserve to say something incredibly bearish at noon today. Well, it's noon for me. So
Tony says ZB filling overnight move heading to 173 to 16 area.
I mean, I do understand that it's filling the gap from overnight, but the amount of volume that is trading it, it's not just some technical move, man. That is somebody very big that is willing to pay up for what the contracts that they're taking on. So it's almost certain that it must be something to do with the FOMC today. Maybe they're expecting some sort of increase in the duration or yield curve control type of stuff, which honestly makes a lot of sense, because how else are they going to keep the rates from? Because look at where we're at. I mean, we were at the lows of the day. It was like, oh, we're dangerously close to the 1%, right? So okay, so now, wow, the E-mini on a 1 minute chart just did 3 dojis in a row.
Uzi Knesset says this action is nonsensical for sure.
Well, I wouldn't. The action in the E-mini is starting to look kind of random, don't you think? But the action in the Treasury, I wouldn't say it's nonsensical. I would just say it's extremely unexpected for me.
Live Action says interesting testimony in Senate addressing election.
Vlad
Stolyarov says, yeah, I am short, that's why it wants to shake me out.
Where are you short
Vlad
from?
Stolyarov says, very stupid action.
You short from a lot lower?
Vlad Stolyarov says 86.75. Vlad Stolyarov says I was going to stop out 91. Vlad Stolyarov says but probably going to wait now.
Well, I'm personally, I still think that the E-mini is going to rise overall today. Well, shall see though. Maybe the treasuries are expecting some bad news. You know, one other thing that I should add here on the treasury, this wasn't the case off of the initial move, and I'm really still not sure what the initial move was. Maybe there was a piece of news that was significant that I didn't realize was important. But, you know, for a lot of that movement through 27 to 28, not a whole lot of liquidity held it. But up here in the 28 to 29 area, those market makers, they're holding their liquidity and they're taking fills. So I think that the market makers are probably really surprised that it's ticking back up to 30 as well.
Vlad Stolyarov says okay, I am out.
Okay.
Vlad Stolyarov says since you think it goes up.
Oh, well, I don't want you to get out on my account, but I do think it is going to go up.
Vlad Stolyarov says don't want to sit here.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel like with a trade like that it's like you
Vlad
got the
Stolyarov
trade
says
wrong,
my
right?
idea was 91 holds, I am out.
Yeah. Especially since the place that you got in was back when it was quiet before we had that big move up. You let it come all the way back, you probably got one of the better.
Vlad Stolyarov says I am not gonna wait for it to go up all the way to 3,700.
Yeah. You probably got
Vlad Stolyarov
better
says it
exit.
was a gamble.
Yeah. Because you waited, it does look like you got a better exit than you would have if you just panicked.
Says, and it did opposite.
Yeah. So you see that they went and they took out the ATR stop, and now they're pushing up.
You should do on all trades. Helpful when you review these videos later.
Yeah, it's true, live action, but I don't. Here's the problem. I don't really have the time to spend as much time reanalyzing my trades as I should. Is really the problem. If this was like all I did, then maybe I would go back every day and review everything and make a highlight video or something. I'm sure that doing the editing would probably maybe a big help on that, but I think that in the end, what it ends up being more is like, okay, so here's the situation. I remember seeing this situation before. Let's go find when it happened and see what I did. And then that's where it kind of ends up being more helpful. On the other hand, I'm also, I mean, for you guys, like you, live action, because you've been one of the most dedicated viewers, and I really appreciate it. And I think that you understand why I do what I do fairly well. But I am kind of intentionally vague about some of the trades because I don't want other people to know how it works. You know what I mean? Like there's robots over here. I'm giving them code names so that you guys don't know what it's doing underneath.
Dave Snyder says, I am new to the channel. What do you trade mostly? Thanks.
Yeah, so pretty much all of my trades are in the EE micro futures and the 10-year treasury. And I want to point out, because I don't ever want people to accuse me of misleading you or anything. So I will tell you, today I'm trading at Sim. I don't always trade it live. In fact, I haven't traded it live. I don't think I intend on trading it live until next year. And honestly, like the thing is I was having a really good time period. Like on that point, like let's think back on this. I had a trading period towards the end of the summer that was just so amazing. And it was like, I couldn't lose. It was amazing. Then we came up on, September, and I said, well, let's just kind of see how it goes. And in September, it was just okay. And then the closer that it got to the election, the harder it got for me. So I said, well, okay, I don't think that I really should take this live. Let's wait until after the election. And then since the election, particularly, well, I mean, it's been both. I've had some really good trades in the treasury, but some really bad trades in the treasury, and overall I don't know if I really have a good plan over there. In the E-mini, I think I do okay, but I will still get these periods where I'll get a bunch of losers in the row, even if I'm switching sides. So I'm not sure what to do about that, and so I'm still I've been doing so much back testing and testing and stuff, and so I think we're just going to continue to do that and run these robots that we've got.
Winston's
Today
mom
I'll go
says,
and
speaking
change
of,
names.
just okay, 10 likes is just okay. Come on guys, you can do better. Please take a quick second to hit the like button. Thanks and good morning, Speculator Seth. I'm late to the party today. Vlad Stolyarov says TSLA was 605 today, bearish sign.
Yeah.
Vlad Stolyarov says now trying to pop back.
Well,
Vlad Stolyarov says reason I shorted S was RTY trying to dump.
Just note that the E-mini is still holding that resistance above us for now. I guarantee you, all of those price action traders are looking at 36.95 and
Washington
going
says
short right now.
For the honesty, Seth.
Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, so anyways, we'll see how these go. And January through March tends to be a better time period for me, so we'll see how that goes. But at the moment, I'm not really feeling adding risk to it, and we're doing okay. So we can just continue to learn and develop our strategies here like this. And when I do it live, I will not tell you because I don't want you to know. Because that would be like a giving like
Ryan
some level
Washington
of confidence.
Says buy dry ice stocks.
Buy dry. You know what? I have totally thought about that one. And I went and I did some research and I just didn't like the stocks that I had found. Now, interestingly enough, Gary Rich has alerted a stock that has to do with cold storage, which is ticker COLD, COLD. But they don't appear to be benefiting from the whole there's going to need to be a lot of cold storage for vaccines thing. But I very much identify with the idea. Yeah, really.
Dave Snyder says, is this session live or delayed?
We're pretty close to live. I mean, the data that you're looking at is live data. But the stream is delayed by anywhere from 3 to 5 seconds, depending on you. So sometimes if you can see down at the bottom of the YouTube player, there's like a live button or something. And sometimes you'll get delayed and you can click on that button and it will bring you back up to here. Yeah. But I try to keep the delay as close as possible so that I can talk to you guys. But I don't want people to be trying to mirror my trades or even worse, try and trade against them. So that's why it's like, to me, it's like if I'm trading it live or not, that would be giving you some indication of how strongly I believe in that trade. And so I just don't tell you guys. So I say like, just assume that it's always sim, but in reality, sometimes it will be live. And I give myself like a certain amount of risk per quarter. So.
Vlad Stolyarov says Amini so tricky versus trendline now.
Well, I
Live action says thinking, now you tell me smiley face.
Now I tell live action. I mean, he knows. He's been around. Live action probably remember like summer 2018 or some 2017. Yeah, it was like summer 2017. Like when we first started this channel. When I first started, I was doing so well. And then that summer came and it was just like dismal, awful trading from me every session until the end of that year. It was so bad. It was like, I don't know. And I mean, at that point, I felt like I had a pretty solid system put together. I came very, very close to passing that combine just trading 10-year treasuries, which, you know, with the amount of risk that you're, how do I say, it was taking on so little risk that it was really quite impressive looking back on it. But then, yeah, everything just fell apart, right? And that was tough. I had to reinvent myself on a number of things. But that's what I find is that the market just changes, you know? Like that's why, like I got Robert here. Robert is really good in this pump the markets with central bank liquidity market. I thought that we were getting it though when we came off of the lows. We may still get it after 9:30, after we stop streaming, because that's when it seems like that comes in. And then maybe it will take a trade. But for now, it seems that it's not going to take one today. And I have had it on pretty much the whole day, so I don't know why it didn't take one. Unless maybe it happened when the other one was short. Or no, it was the other one was long, wasn't it? That one was disappointing. But I guess it's disappointing, but also makes sense because that is looking for a pretty long target, and it didn't do terrible. It got a good amount of favorable action, so I don't know. I'm hoping that the combination of these robots will give a pretty decent consistency. Although the thing I'm going to be doing today, because I ran that one on a year's worth of data, and I didn't have nearly as high of a profit factor as some of the other ones that I had, but it takes a lot more trades, and I think I'm much more happy with that. I think that I can potentially build up a better system off of that. But I think I need to go in and start doing like daily portfolio management sorts of things now, like adding like a daily stop loss where it will stop trading or like a number of trades in a row. See if that improves the Sharpe ratio on the strategy or not. Because I would like that Sharpe ratio to be higher still before trying that there. Now I have one that I think is probably okay to do on a combine, but that's the one that took the trade this morning and didn't get it. So we shall see, I guess. Well, we're starting to see a little bit more market selling at 28.5, but they're still not willing to just like really shove it down. Because I don't know if it's going to flip around, if this reason for this move up was driven by other stuff like currencies and stuff. I mean, I do see the dollar is up again a little bit more. So that overall does kind of speak to, well, I don't know if that totally explains it, but it could be that sell was the unusual thing. The sell early in the morning and then the market makers just like let it recover. I don't know. But I'm kind of was thinking, well, maybe these longs are going to take profits and it'll push it down, but it's not happening yet. Man, so they're pushing through the ATR stop. What am I using on my ATR stop? Maybe I need to increase it because it feels like that's just like way too easy for it. I have not seen it that bad before. I don't know. I'm using an ATR multiplier of 3.5.
See what I mean? Tricky 88s was my loss mitigation.
Yeah. I think you did the right thing.
Says I think that's short covering here.
Could be. I mean, the thing is we're still like right around the open, so I still like the scenario I see playing out is close of European trading and then the pump. And I still think that the potential release of text later today and all of that news is probably still going to be the most influential thing is the fiscal stimulus. But the Federal Reserve could surprise us. Although the Treasury is saying that if the Federal Reserve is going to surprise us, that it's going to be on being hyper dovish, which should also be good for a buy in the E-mini, right? I don't know. I picked the right direction in the E-mini, but not the Treasury. So I guess it just makes me excited for the FOMC. We'll stream the FOMC today for you new guys, just so you know. Another thing, I should be saying this at the beginning of the videos and stuff, but highly recommend you enjoy this stream, that you click the subscribe button, but also click on the bell icon. And when you click on the bell icon, there's some options that you get. There's like personalized notifications, but then there's like all notifications. Because the thing is that I guess the way that works is like if I put out a video and then you're a subscriber and you don't watch it that day, then you're less likely to see it, right? So if you want to make sure that you always see that in your feed, because I'm going to guess that most of you are either in one of two categories, right? One is that you just want to be here every day and you're going to want to get the notifications to come in live.
Good fight in hearings.
Yeah, okay. So for those of you, then having the bell icon on is really, really good, because then you get the notifications and you can find the stream quickly and get in here as soon as you start trading, right? But I think there's another category of you that maybe don't want to watch every day, but you know, if it was a big day or something significant happened, you'd want to come in and check in. And so then that would be another reason to have all of the notifications on, so that you always see the video, even if you don't always click on it. So that's that bit. What else should I mention? Oh, you can get the mug. You can get the mug on in the store. You should all know about that. I should show that. I wish I had like a spot in the background that I could put it. Maybe I need to get a little bookcase to put back there. Or I could put shelves. Could put shelves right next to the chalkboard, maybe. So you say that the Democrats and Republicans are fighting pretty hard in that hearing, I bet. One of the things that I've been noticing is that when the Republicans come in and they're like, well, we think that there's voter fraud and we think that we should subpoena this thing, or we should see this evidence or this evidence. And the Democrats are like, no, that's absolutely can't be allowed. And I'm just like, you know, if it was me, like if the Democrats were alleging voter fraud or something like that, then I would be like, okay, go look. Because I would know that, like, they're going to go and look and it would embarrass them, right? If I really didn't think that there was voter fraud. And frankly, I don't think that there really is on the Republicans' favor, but you know what I mean? But the way that the Democrats react kind of suggests that they think that probably there is some voter fraud and that they don't want the Republicans to find anything that helps them. Okay, ECB's Schnabel speaking.
Lucas says today was a grind.
Yeah, well, it really was. I mean, there was some good moves. I would say the thing that made this such a grind was that there was some significant movement. There was some significant news, and even though it moved, it was kind of it was very emotionally exhausting, don't you think? Oh, that was Lucas. Ah, good. How are you doing, man? I think so. I mean, even when you think about it, like we had the sell on the open, and then since then it's been like just a slow grind up.
Sugar Daddy says make the Mooney.
Make the Mooney. Well, I've had my frustrations.
Getting caught with a fake account in Reddit.
Okay, I did see that. So if you go back and read it, although it seems plausible that it's him, I don't think that what happened there was directly proves that it was him. Like, they used the same phrasing and everything, but I don't know if that was actually him or not. But I went and I looked. I said, well, if it's him, let's go and see what this guy says. And this other account, it did a couple of, it said a couple of things. There was a couple of posts that I was thinking, well, if it was Futures Trader 71, why wouldn't he just use his regular account for that? But there was this one post where this guy in particular doesn't like the Jigsaw platform. And his reasoning was essentially Peter Davies has been doing this forever and he doesn't really actually know how to trade. Which, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Peter's never shown us his account statements or anything. I bet you that he makes more money from the platform than he does from the trading. You know what I mean? Wouldn't surprise me that your best developer in the software and everything isn't necessarily the most amazing trader. You know what I mean? Anyways, it was interesting. I went back and read all of the posts to see if I could find anything interesting, but I don't know if it's 100% guaranteed, proof that it was. And then Futures Trader 71 did come in and post on that and say, nah, that's not me. It's not true. Actually, let's go and see if there was anything posted on that overnight. Is there anything new? I also noticed he's way more active in the subreddit than I thought he was.
Lucas says, I wouldn't trade either if I already have a business like Jigsaw.
Why not? you enjoy it. That's my whole thing. Oh, we were just saying earlier, I've been trying to do this market making thing, but it's not working so well today, is it? Right. So I think there's still a lot of kinks to work on out in terms of like, at what point do I really
Lucas
need
says
to
just
switch?
For fun, maybe, yeah.
Because to me, I feel like I can add contracts when it's above me, but I don't know. I don't know what to do in that situation. I feel like I should have flipped around at 25 half and I could have made money on the other side, but I didn't do that. And so what is the signal that I need to tell me that I need to start market making the other direction? But, I wouldn't care if it makes a ton of money as long as it makes enough to continue going, and pay for the costs. Okay. Yeah, see, he said that is incorrect. I believe what we're doing in our firm and answering on my own behalf. There are a few followers here who are also edge clear. Rhythmic is our key platform and many use it with Bookmap. Am I not allowed to reply? So that's interesting that the majority of their people are, it sounds like that they favor I favor Rhythmic. So what you gonna do? This guy, this one, Chicago Man 2019.
Sugar Daddy says you are deep in the money. Aren't you satisfied? Do you even trail, bro?
No, I don't. I shouldn't I? I should pull this up and it should be like at 50 and be like, but I don't know. So the thing here is that the trade that I'm making, I'm thinking that after I stop, so I can't really sit and watch it. I do need to do real work, but I really think that after the European close, that the E-mini is going to continue to move up and maybe even go to new session highs. Like, beat out the overnight highs. Anyways, this guy, Chicago Man 2019, he also wasn't very favorable towards Ninja Trader or Kinetic. And I totally understand that because I really like the Ninja Trader platform. I feel that it is the best charting and programming platform out there. Like, I look at Bookmap, for instance, and there's things that I like about it, but then I'm like, but then I would have to program in Java again, and that makes me feel icky, Because Java just doesn't have very good dependency management, and it's kind of a little bit outdated on the language features. But anyways, but the thing that I don't like about Ninja Trader is that it basically locks you into the Ninja Trader brokerage. And I want to be free to move around. So, it's just like the funny thing in the futures, everybody's got, their own incentives, and you're never going to find like the perfect solution because everybody has such wildly different needs. More money. Yeah. Now, another thing is that I could maybe have taken I actually thought about taking profits here off of one
Sugar
contract
Daddy
on
says
100.
that sounded like a song.
I'm expecting this pivot up here to fail. Like 36.95. I guarantee you all of the price action traders are looking at that and see that as a significant resistance point and are selling it there, and they're going to get screwed. Schumer talking again, saying we hope to read a deal today. But you know what? It's time for me to get going. So
Lucas says I agree with Ninja. It's a simple software that provides what I need. Will you be here for FOMC?
Yep. I will be back at noon. So let's name this stream Heavy Grind ahead of FOMC.
Sugar Daddy says you should put a mustache.
A mustache? You saying I should grow a mustache? I don't know if a mustache would be right for me. I think that when this gets too long, and it's kind of getting to the point where it's maybe almost too long, but when it gets too long, I just don't like the way that it looks. I like the 5 o'clock shadow look. All right, I gotta get going. I'll see you guys tomorrow. In the meantime, stay profitable, friends. Oh no, I'll see you guys at FOMC. So in 2.5 hours. Stay profitable, friends.